Hi, I'm Andrew. Welcome back to the Moving to the UK podcast, your guide to relocating to the UK with confidence. I cover the north of the UK. In this podcast, we focus on the property side of your move, from finding the right place to rent or buy to choosing the area that suits you best.
Hi, I'm Mark. I cover the south of the UK. We also bring in trusted guest experts to cover everything else you need to know, from visas and cost of living to schools and day-to-day life in the UK. Packed with practical advice, real stories and honest insights to help you make informed decisions. Don't forget to join our Facebook group Relocation to the UK to ask questions, share experiences and connect with others on the same journey. Let's get started.
Hi, and first of all, we're introducing Rachel tonight, who's a part of our education consultants. She's been teaching for close to 15 years. She's my better half as well. So we've got 3 young children, all in primary school, but covered full range. Just some quick generic questions about lots of people moving and like to ask. So any questions you do have as well, feel free to drop myself or Mark an email, or Rachel as well direct, and we can follow up on that. So first question, Rachel. For listeners moving to the UK, can you briefly explain how the UK education system is structured?
So here in the UK, children will enter full-time school in the September after their 4th birthday. They will go full-time, so that's Monday to Friday, and they will be in their primary education from the age of 4 to 11. Once they finish primary school, they will go to what we would call secondary school or high school, and they would attend that from the age of 11 to 16. And then post-16 education would be either a sixth form, which they can attend at the school, or a college course that would take them up to the age of 18, where they may choose to go to university or not. During that time in the primary education, it is structured from September all the way through to August. There are 39 weeks in the school academic year, and maybe around every 6 to 7 weeks, the children will take a break of 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks over Christmas, Easter, etc. And then they'll have a 5 to 6 week summer break. And it's very, very similar with the secondary education as well. And that sort of covers what the education structure is like here in the UK.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rachel. I want to go back to school and have 1 week off every 6 or 7 weeks. That'd be great. That's fantastic. Can you just tell us a little bit more about your background, Rachel? Because I know you're ex-teacher as well, so you're obviously well qualified for this.
Yeah, so I trained as a primary school teacher in Liverpool, John Moores. Lived there for a couple of years teaching in a primary school, and then moved over to Manchester, where I've been teaching for probably close to 12 years, where I've taught across the whole of the primary school range and have pretty good knowledge of Greater Manchester schools and the different types of schools that are out there, and children's needs, if they might be different, and the schools that they're going to go to.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think we're having 3 children as well. It helps even more because you're immersed in it. My children are grown up now. We've got grandchildren this kind of age now, so but it's great to have you on board, so thanks for that. We've got a question now as well. We've had several questions come in. If a family is relocating to the UK, what should they first do when thinking about schooling?
Well, the first thing to do is to potentially find out where their children would fit. Would they be in a primary school? Are they going to be a secondary school? Thinking about the area that you're moving to, if your child has a specific need. I know that sometimes if children have SEND needs, it's always good to sort of talk that through with somebody, or talk to the schools that are local to see, do they have provision for that child? You can always think about, if you want to send them to a private school, what might the fees look like? And contacting those schools to see if they also have spaces available. So I think the first thing to think about really is what age your children are, as in where they would fit into the education, primary or secondary.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
That's amazing. Thanks, Rachel. One of the big questions we get all the time is whether to do state or private. So obviously we explain in a bit of a snapshot when we're on our briefing calls. But can you just explain how the process differs between state schools and private schools?
Absolutely. So if you want to apply to a state school, you would apply through your local council. So for example, we live in Stockport. So if we wanted to apply to a Stockport school, we'd go onto the Stockport Council website and you would find out either through the council or through contacting the school directly if there is a space in that school. A lot of schools in good areas and a lot of schools generally can be full. So we cannot assume that the nearest school to the property will be the nearest school that they're going to get a place in. And when it comes to the private schools, going to contact them directly to ask about things like the cost, when can they enter, and how to actually apply to that school, as it may vary from private school to private school. Just one thing to think about as well, when in the application process, if somebody isn't helping you, then you do need an address to apply. So does make the situation sometimes a bit tricky, because what do you get first? Do you look into the school or do you look into the property? It's just every case is different. So your case is going to be unique to your family, and whether Andrew is helping you with the property or whether Mark is helping you with the property, and I'm helping with the education side, we would all be able to talk and confer so that we can make sure that we find the right school for your child.
It's so hard for parents. It really is. It's just so complicated. International moves as well. It's just, it's so complicated for them. One other question I've got about that one, actually, Rachel, is some of the private schools have like entrance exams, or do all of them, or do they just want to?
So
how does that work?
Talking about our experience here in Greater Manchester, the entrance exams tend to be for the grammar schools.
Oh, okay.
Which again are usually full. But if you want to take the entrance exam and then go on a waiting list, I have heard that is a possibility for those type of schools. But generally for the state schools, if they've got a space available, it's for you. And then for the private ones, obviously it's about the fee and the paying to attend that school.
Okay, fair enough. No, that's fine. Thank you. That was it. Yeah. Are there any key deadlines or timelines that international families often miss? Because I know I hear about in-term, out-of-term applications. Just explain that in a little bit more detail.
So majority of families do end up with an in-year application. So basically that means that they would be applying at any point in the year and they want to join immediately, whether it be a week or two after they arrive here in the UK, if the process has gone smoothly. Councils can vary for time limits. Manchester say around 2 weeks, but we often say give yourselves around 6 weeks, which is why it's good to sometimes apply before you actually arrive, which is definitely helpful for us supporting you. But there are some key deadlines. So for example, if you have a child who has never been to school before and they are 4 years old, you would apply between September and January to the council, and you would find out in the April whether they've got a space at that school. And then for the secondary, you only get a short window. So when they're in their final year of primary, you would apply between September and October, and then you would find out in the March of their year 6 if they've got into their chosen high school for the September. So those two, if you're going into secondary, there are deadlines, and if you're going into primary, there are deadlines. But for all other applications, it's just within that year. You're just applying at the time that you're moving.
Okay, so year 6 then going into secondary school, that's quite a short window, September, October.
Yeah, they only give you around probably about 6 to 7 weeks to actually apply. Then it closes, and then you find out in the March if what school you've been allocated.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
I think a lot of families get a shock on this, because we always on the briefing calls they just presume they'll go to the nearest school, and it's when we
Exactly.
start to kind of unravel this kind of information, they're a bit shocked. So it's good to prepare, I suppose, in many ways.
Definitely.
What support is available for students? That's quite a common question we get as well. So for the children new to the English education system, is there any support that the schools offer, or extracurricular support as well?
Generally, schools now have a very good experience of English as an additional language. Lots of children speak different languages here in the UK, and therefore the teachers are becoming more well trained in supporting those children. Often you will find that there are children join the school who speak another language that's the same. So for example, if a child came from Germany and in the school already there's another German child, they often sometimes use those resources to sort of support children. Often schools can have teaching assistants who may give those children little bits of time through the day to just practice basic English skills. And also you can, here in the UK, pay a tutor if you want to pay them after school, or for example, if you were to do our education package, we offer 2 hours of free tutoring online just to get them a little bit school ready if you feel that they haven't spoken English in their current country that they've been living in. So there is support here, and it's very diverse when it comes to languages.
No, that's really helpful, the extra tutoring as well, because I think everybody does, we all need a part of that as well. So the last question I've got for you, Rachel, is, this is always one that comes up all the time. How important are catchment areas, and how do they affect school admissions? Because me and Andrew get it all the time where I want to live next to ABC primary school because it's the best one in the town, but they say there's no spaces, but I live next door. Just talk a bit more about that.
So this is all to do with the in-year moves to the schools. If a school is full, at capacity, 30 children in the class already, there is no option for that to be the immediate school. However, if you were to go to a school that has got a space, you can go on a waiting list for the school that you want. Now, you may not be the top of the waiting list and you may need to wait again a while. But if you're on that waiting list and say, for example, a child in year 4 leaves, your child is on the waiting list, they're next, the council will contact you and they will say, right, Lucas can move to year 4 now in Gatley Primary because there has become a space available. So it's not the worst news when you don't get a place immediately, but it may be a waiting game, and unfortunately that's just how it works. So that's why it's hard to start the process of, well, what do you choose first, the school or the property? So it's just working together and communicating and finding the right school that is available, and working out, how to get the child there, and understanding that they may have to make a move at some point if you want to move to the school they want close to the property.
I think the theme we get, that we're having all this discussion, as me and Andrew get all the time, is just have plenty of time to talk and just talk about where you want to be, and many months in advance if you can, with us or somebody, to at least sort of just talk about what you're looking for. Because people sometimes, I think, we want to live here, we want to work there and go there, but it makes sense to live over here or the school over here, and just keeps you on track. And that's our job, because we know lots of areas, and for the, Andrew covers more the north, I cover more the south, but we can cover a lot of areas. So I think
we had that recently. A family came from Malaysia and they just assumed their daughter would go to a grammar school straight away because she's very intelligent, which is brilliant. But unfortunately, it's not always a case of just stepping straight into that application and get into that school. So it's always good to understand there's options, but that may not always be your first choice.
I think we approach it the same way, don't we, Mark? Whenever it's a family, I'll say, look, we need a property. 3 or 4 good schools, because the likelihood is one may be full.
Exactly.
We've still got 2 or 3 to back up on. If we're putting all our eggs in one basket on one good school near that one property, and it's full, then it's kind of, but that's part of our job of kind of guiding people through the process.
Yep.
In both the property and the schooling. So
excellent. Brilliant. Thank you, Rachel. That's been really, really helpful. I think hopefully it's helped a lot of people as well. Andrew, anything else to add?
Nothing more to add. Any top tips, Rachel, that you could give?
Take a deep breath, and hopefully it'll all work out. And children are very adaptable.
They are.
As long as they're happy and make new friends and feel safe, then that's should be the first thing to come for them for their move when they've moved from another country.
Yeah, I think the UK is very multicultural as well, isn't it? So it won't be the only American or the only German in the classroom. No. It's very people from all over the world and kids from all over the world. So
it helps everybody as well, I think. So yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Moving to the UK podcast with Andrew and Mark. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next one.
And don't forget to join our Facebook group, Relocation to the UK, where you can ask questions, share your experience, and connect with others on the same journey. We'll see you in the next episode. Till next time.